All right, everybody, and welcome back to the Started Somewhere podcast. Super excited to be here with you all. Thank you so much for tuning in, whether it's on iTunes, over on Spotify, or YouTube. My friends, today we have a rock star entrepreneur joining us from Atlanta, Georgia, and his name is Taylor Green. Taylor, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you for having me, Ross. Been following you for a while, so this is a pleasure. I saw you were making a podcast, and I got excited.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much. I did the podcast a couple years ago, kind of just dropped the ball on it. Honestly, I did maybe like 5 or 10 episodes, but I got inspired a month ago to bring it back. So this is like episode 3 now of the rebirth. So it's great to have you here, man, and I'm glad to be connected. What's going on down there in Atlanta, man?
Man, so yeah, we touched on it. It's kind of crazy out here. I haven't left the house in 5 days. It's kind of crazy out there. The stock market's all messed up. Even the cryptocurrency's messed up. Even the real estate's a little messed up. So it's just a little interesting out.
It's all messed up, man. So the listeners out there, if you're tuning in when we put this episode out, then of course you know that we are dealing with the coronavirus pandemic. Maybe you're watching this in 50 years from now. There's some crazy stuff happening right now in the world. And Taylor, it's crazy, man. I don't know if it's just me or if it's everybody, but I feel like this just happened so fast.
Yeah, no, at first no one, including me, wasn't taking it super seriously. And, then you start seeing the measures that the government was taking, and that kind of made me think about it a little differently. So, one day I was like, yeah, I'm not leaving the house again until they say a vaccine is ready or something. And, I was like, I don't want to take the chance of even having to go to the hospital. I don't like needles or anything like that. So I was like, all right, I'll just stay inside.
Yeah. I'm in the same boat.
Yeah.
I'm in the same boat, man. I haven't left the house in days as well. It's scary stuff, right? Because with this whole virus right now, and I know everybody's heard enough of the virus, so I don't want to get too deep. But the scariest part is this asymptomatic transmission, right? Like you go
right.
to the store and the person next to you can be infected, and
right.
all of a sudden you're infected. So definitely taking big precautions. But even deeper, or maybe not deeper, but there's a whole other side of this, right? Besides just the health component, and that's the economic impacts of this virus. It's just absolutely insane. I never honestly I didn't see this coming, first of all, but I've never seen things escalate so fast, right? And there's a huge pending crisis. Almost like a dynamite, right? It's about to explode because it's like a domino effect, right? One thing goes, the next thing goes. I was on a conference call earlier this afternoon with a bunch of retail commercial owners, and they're freaking out because their tenants are asking them to give them leeway on the rent, right? Big tenants too, big tenants like gyms, cell phone stores, hair salons, typically businesses that would be thriving. Now everything's just coming to a halt, right? Businesses have to close. They're not making revenues. So, it's crazy stuff, man. Crazy stuff.
Yeah, definitely the economic impact, I think, is what's most interesting to me. And just really, again, just the fallout that happens around, just as more businesses close, more people lose their jobs, and then what happens to them, what happens to the places they're staying in, what positions does that put their landlords in, what position does it put their landlord's banks in? It's just a wild domino effect. Yeah, I think that's definitely what's most interesting about it.
Absolutely, man. And, even for us real estate entrepreneurs, right? HUD ceased all foreclosures and evictions for whoever how long that's going to happen. You know, but I'll be honest with
Right.
you, foreclosures are a big part of my flipping business.
Well, I'll tell you, our
But
company works mainly on foreclosures.
oh wow.
That's the bread and butter. So that's interesting as well for us.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's definitely shaking up the game a bit. But Taylor, man, you reached out on Instagram. We were talking over there, and you gave me a brief overview of your story. The reason why I wanted to get you on here, man, is because I really believe like you have a really nice, interesting come up story. So let's tell the people, if you
Sure.
could just share with them, an overview of who you are and what you do.
Sure. So right now I work at a real estate investment firm. Just not too long ago, like 5 years or so, it was just a group of 3 or 4 people. A few years before that, it was just one person with one flip. Now the company flips 30, 40 houses every single month. And that's just 6 years into the making, 50 plus employees, large office space. So I'm a buyer's agent. I've been a real estate agent for 3 years now. And I work mainly off of MLS, the multiple listing service, and also with real estate wholesalers. My job is just to bring in as many acquisitions as possible. And I work specifically just with this one company. So, I mean, day to day, I'm just literally looking for deals. You kind of know where to go, what a deal sounds like, what a deal smells like when you do enough of them. I know from day one, I had no clue what I was looking at, and I know a lot of other people relate to that when they got into the real estate world. But the first step, I'd say, is massive action, and everything else fell in place.
Wow, man. So you're grinding it out right now, getting these deals on MLS, putting out offers. Probably how many offers you putting out a week?
So that's funny. There's a big focus on how many offers that I'm able to manage to get out, but probably I'd say 30 a day is about average. So
Offers
about
a
maybe
day?
right. So about 150 a week,
And
and
this is all in Atlanta?
right, yeah.
Wow, y'all got a lot of deals down there, I guess, huh?
Well, it's like MLS is so competitive, and if I do a consistent 150 offers per week, that probably results in like 5 deals for that month off of MLS. So, and that doesn't mean that we could potentially be capturing more, but again, it's very competitive, and it's just right place, right time. So the whole idea is just to try to be everywhere at all the time. But if you're just a solo guy, just try to be everywhere at every time.
Dude, it's honestly, Taylor, it's competitive like in any major market, right? And it's interesting, man, that we're talking about this because I built my real estate investing business on the flipping side, buying deals from the MLS. And
Wow,
the MLS gets a lot of shit,
yeah.
in the investor world. Because a lot of
Yeah.
people, they think the deals are just, they're overpriced, which they can be.
Hmm.
It's super competitive, right? Deals aren't lasting on there, especially in this market. I mean, you're talking an hour, 2 hours on the market. Sometimes these deals are gone.
Yeah.
But there's money to be made on the MLS, man. I tell people all the time, like, you can buy deals on the market. They're right there. Like, you don't even have to do any struggle to get the deal. Like, you just go online and get hooked up with an agent and submit an offer.
Right. Right. And that's
So
essentially what we've done.
yeah, I mean that's awesome. So it sounds like you found a niche, right? You found that niche. You teamed up with an investment company. You're buying the deals for them and getting a commission.
Right. Yeah.
Nice, man. I know that there's a lot of hustle when it comes to the agent business, man. Like, I have nothing but respect for like rock star agents because it's like an eat what you kill business, right? Where
Right. Right.
I mean, most agents, like, you're not getting salary, right? It's like 100% commission based. So you got to go out there and hustle.
Right. And I feel like it was I feel like it was more of just like a habit even. Like at first I just started with the massive action, and then I let it just become more of a habit. Like most of the time it didn't feel like I was grinding away like as if it was like hurting me. It just became a habit. Like there's something I wanted to do. I didn't have other things that I was more skilled at. I wanted to be skilled at something. So it was just like full speed ahead and see what happens. Either there, there was no thoughts about, all right, getting to point B or point C. Is just, put your head down and grind and see what happens.
Mm.
So I think that made it a lot easier.
Well, this is the Start It Somewhere show, man. So, we definitely we gotta back it up here, right? Because a lot of people, in today's entrepreneurial world, they think that it just happens overnight. But you and I
Yeah.
both know it doesn't, right? We all get started. Yeah, most of us got started in the mud. So let's take it back, man. Where were you 5 years ago?
Oh, wow. So 5 years ago, I was working at Sam's Club, the big box stores, like the extra large version of Walmart, where I was selling back massagers. And it was my first sales job. I had started listening to a lot of sales gurus during that time, and they were really like firing me up. I had like no motivation really at that time or like any direction. And like these guys were basically like leading me the way, teaching me sales concepts and like personal life philosophies. And this is how you have a healthy perspective, like Tony Robbins, Grant Cardone kind of thing. So I was selling these massagers and I was so into it. And I was really good at it. It was just like, that was life for me at the time, 5 years ago. But yeah, I was making definitely not a lot of money at all. Probably close to minimum wage, probably a little bit more selling massagers at Sam's Club.
Wow. So you took a sales job selling massagers. I mean, hey, that's not a bad thing to sell, right? I mean, who doesn't want a back massager? It seems like an easy sale.
Yeah, you would think, right?
I'm curious, what was the average ticket?
So here's the thing: if you sell one, it's not a great deal for your customer. But if you sell three at one time, that's the best deal for your customer. So I would have a field day with like, hey, you got to get three. Like I genuinely cared about them getting the best deal. Like there was a small one, a medium, and a large. If they get all three, then they're getting the best deal. And so I was really just pushing everyone to get three at a time.
Wow.
So you're looking at about $170, I think, for all three.
I would never think to buy three massages at a time, to be honest.
No. Yeah, you need all three, man. You need all.
How has that job, that sales position, influenced you and helped you out now with what you're doing in the agent space?
So something like that, and I recommend everyone who doesn't really know where to start in entrepreneurship get into sales, because that job gave me so much confidence and made me feel like I could literally almost do anything, just by the fact that prior to that, I was just sitting at a computer, like Googling money-making things and trying one after the other. And there was no real like interaction or real hands-on experience happening. There was a lot of like trial and error. But when I was like out, seeing hundreds of people a day, chasing them down in the store with a massager in my hand, that's the level of experience I really feel like you need to, get the gist of what sales really is. So that job gave me a ton of confidence as far as my ability to chase down 100 people, literally throw the massager on their back. And then they're saying, no, get out my face. And I'm focused on, I got to make the sale. Do they want it? They haven't said they don't want it yet. I'm going to keep asking for the sale. And I didn't even have that kind of like personal confidence myself, even to walk up to a stranger at that time. But yet it was my job's requirement for me to literally chase them down the aisle with a massager, telling them to put it on. And I think that just like really was a large paradigm shift for me at that time, that I said, okay, I can get out here and chase someone down. Okay, how could I translate this into something else?
Now, for the people listening that have a lack of, confidence in themselves, what are some things that you would say to that person to help them gain that confidence?
Right. So at that time, everything that was on my mind was exposure therapy in a literal sense. So at that time I had a bunch of anxiety. Like outside of my job, I would hate to walk up to strangers. I was finishing up community college and I wouldn't talk to anyone in the class or in the hallways, and public speaking, I would just be like trembling. So that definitely was not my strong suit. And at that time I was just thinking, I remember it was some self-help book I was reading saying exposure therapy. You just have to put yourself in the position and put yourself in the position over and over. And that's the only way that you'll get the opportunities to learn or kind of like find out, okay, why is my heart racing right now? Is there actually something wrong? Like, okay, no, nothing's actually wrong. One I like asking is, like, what am I doing right now? It's like, well, okay, I'm freaking out. Okay, why am I freaking out? Oh, okay, well, there's nothing to freak out about. So literally being there, talking to hundreds of people every single day, doing silly stuff. Like it was just very silly. And it was the only reason it was happening is because it was my job. It didn't seem like it was real, but it gave me that kind of exposure. I definitely recommend everyone who doesn't feel like they have that ability to step out in that kind of capacity anywhere in entrepreneurship to find a way to just get the exposure. And it probably doesn't sound fun at all, but I see a high value in that, even if it's just for a couple of weeks or here and there, just do it.
You just got screw it, just do it, right?
Yeah.
Dude,
yeah.
I took a public speaking class in college before I dropped out. And I remember, man, there was a time where I had to get up in front of the class and I thought I was having a heart attack. I mean, I turned bright red, heartbeats pounding, palms sweaty, freaking out, full blown. And there's like 15, 20 people in the classroom, you know? But it's like, it's a real thing, right? Like being afraid to present and be in front of people and be social, you know, it's a real thing, you know, to be afraid. But I remember, man, like a year or two down the line after I had already gotten into business, I had a deal. And I was actually trying to wholesale that deal. I went to one of the RIAs and I got up on stage because, you know, they allow you to present your deal and whatnot. I was like, screw it. I got to sell this deal. Like, this is what's stopping me, right? Like, I have to get up on this stage and pitch this deal. And I did it. Like, I did it, man. And I was still freaking out, but it was like that one moment of just saying, screw it, just do it. That really, you know, got me past. And, you know, nowadays, man, I can talk on stage, get on live stream, hundreds of people. Like, I don't freak out anymore. So I think, you know, a lot of people, you know, to the listener out there, if you're feeling, you know, afraid or you're lacking confidence to do something, sometimes you just got to jump in head first, and whatever happens, happens. If you fall on your face, you fall on your face. You could always get back up and do it again, right? Don't let that feeling stop you from doing what you want to do, because most of the time, like 99.9% of the time, Taylor, and let me know if you agree with this, once you do it, you realize that you were afraid of really nothing. Like, it wasn't really that big of a deal.
Right. Yeah, and I agree. And it sounds so weird when you're in that position and you hear someone who doesn't have that problem currently say, you know, you just have to jump in. You know, I used to be skeptical back then when I heard stuff like that, but you have to move forward one way or another. You have to move forward at the end of the day. So I agree. You have to jump in. Even if you're terrified the first 10 times you jump in, you got to make the progress one way or another. There's no way to move forward without moving forward, even if it's a hair at a time. I mean, yeah.
It just it comes with the territory, right? It comes with the space, you know. But you're not working at Sam's Club anymore, so tell us what happened. You know, did you one day you woke up and said, "I'm done selling massagers," or what? You know, fill us in.
So I'd always been entrepreneurial to that point, but again, I was always like a closeted entrepreneur. Like I would never do anything bold or, you know, outside of the box, really. I would just kind of follow into the template of everything that was easily found, the path of least resistance. And so that sales job there kind of gave me the eye opening that, you know, I can take control of this with my own hands and run after something. So I said, okay, I need someone to give me an opportunity. I didn't know what kind I was looking for or anything of that. I just went on Craigslist and I was applying to a bunch of jobs. You know, I had an associate's degree from a community college, and I didn't really have anything else. So
I mean,
I found a secretary.
I don't know if the associate's degree is anything. Anyways.
Well, and I'm proud of that one.
Okay.
I'm proud of that one because I had failed out. I had failed out of our state university first, and then I had went back to get it because I thought it would change my life.
I'm just busting chops, man. I don't want to take that away from you, man. But go ahead.
No,
Go ahead.
no, I got better things now, man. But so, you know, I was like, okay, I need someone to give me opportunity. I applied to a bunch of random jobs, and I got a secretary job at this investment firm. I didn't know they were the biggest rehab company in Georgia at the time. I just remember I was at an interview and I heard people screaming on the phone, and something about, I heard it like in my ear, the way it hit my ear, it said, wow, they're making a lot of money right now. I just heard the way I heard people on the phone. I was like, okay, they're making money in there. I said, I'm gonna do everything I can to, and like, so all the other interviews, I was really like timid and nervous. I didn't really feel like I had anything to offer, or if they had something to offer me so I can lock in. But I was very confident in that interview. I didn't know what it was, but I really just had to work there. When I kind of heard the tempo, I said, okay, this is like money happens here. I hear these people, they had that same tone of expert salespeople. They were chasing people down with the massagers in the aisle. That's the kind of tone that I heard. So I found myself working there. And do you just want me to explain the rest?
Yeah, of course, man. So you did the interview, you got hired, right?
Right. 4 interviews for a secretary position.
4 interviews.
4 interviews over 2 or 3 weeks.
Wow. Yeah, that's intense. At this point, is this like the first time you were exposed to real estate? Like with this company?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about real estate when I got there.
Okay. So you found this gig, it looked cool. You went in there, you liked the energy, and you got the job, right? Was the job paying a salary or was it commission?
So it was my first salary ever, and I was super excited because up till then I've only made like $10 an hour or something like that. It's like minimum wage, a little over minimum wage jobs, and that was my first salary. Just for context, for early entrepreneurs, it's like in the $30,000s of dollars, which is like, it depends. If you're a college kid, you might be like, wow, that's crazy. But if you're a little older and more experienced, you're like, wow, that's nothing. So yeah, I was very excited after I got hired, and that was my first salary. No office. I just had like a little desk near the filing cabinets, like a little space kind of.
Yeah, but you were in the right place, right? You're around the money, right? You're around the action. And I tell this to people all the time that are trying to get started in business, that want to be a power player. You got to get around the money. You got to get around people that think like you do, because something magical happens, right? Especially, and I on your Instagram, I see that you went to the 10X Growth Con, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's something magical. Even if you know everything that the speakers are saying, just being in the room and feeling those vibrations and feeling that energy just gets you fired up. It gets you pumped up. And, if you're out there right now and you're feeling like a lack of motivation, or you're feeling down in the dumps, you're feeling like, things aren't working out for you, just get around the right people and, get inspired, right? Get inspired by what you want to do, right? What you want to have in life. So you went from secretary to being an agent, right? How did that happen?
So probably 2 years prior, I used to always keep this phrase in my head. It's like, success is when preparation meets opportunity, right? And it didn't take me long to really like believe that I was in the right place. And I said, okay, where's the opportunity? Obviously, filing papers and like printing stuff, then that's not the win here. I said, where is it? Because I know it's here. So we did have a buyer's agent at the time, and older gentleman, very experienced agent. And I remember hearing about like what kind of numbers, like how many like offers and deals were coming in. And then I was really thinking about it, and I said, okay, this is the guy whose job is to chase the people down in the aisle with the massagers. And then I, man to man, we became friends, we're coworkers. But I couldn't help thinking of myself over the first year. I was like, man, I know I can run down the aisle and put more massagers on people's backs. It's plain and simple. I was thinking about it. I knew what type of hunger that I had. And like I said, this is like an older gentleman, maybe a little more comfortable with the role. But at this point, I'm highly motivated. I don't know when I can get another opportunity like this. And so it was kind of make or break for me. If I didn't work out here, it'd be back to another $10, $12 an hour job, something like that. So I told my boss one day, I said, hey, I got to try doing that job. And he was surprised because he's like, what's this guy know about anything? And, totally right. And I gave him the whole spiel. I was like, hey, like, I'm just looking for an opportunity. I am that guy. I do have the hunger for this. Just let me see what happens. And so I think it was my first week. I had gotten 4 deals under contract that we closed on. And then like a few more the following week. I think that was definitely probably one of my best weeks I've ever had as far as how many deals I can get under contract. But I think that just really showed what kind of like hunger that I had at the moment. I knew that was the moment and I had to make that happen because I really didn't see any other way. And who knows, another opportunity could have came, but when you feel like you're prepared and you see an opportunity, you got to do everything you can to capitalize on opportunities because you never know when the next opportunity is coming.
Wow, man, that's awesome. And you, of course, you got licensed somewhere. You didn't speak on that, but assuming
right.
you got licensed when you had told your boss, "Hey, I want to do this," and then you went
somewhere.
Yeah,
somewhere in that time frame, I got licensed.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, for anybody out there that wants to be a real estate agent, you do have to go through some sort of like a course, a training academy, and get licensed to practice.
Right.
You said something, man, earlier that I want to touch on. You said that you thought that if you didn't make this work, then you might be forced to go back to a $10 to $12 an hour job. What do you think about the saying, winners win regardless?
Yeah, so
that apply to you?
I believe in that nowadays, but again, my confidence back then, it wasn't strong enough to believe in a lot of the stuff that I do fully believe in now. So at the time, I do think I would have, I don't know how much I would have believed in that, although it is true, but it's so hard to see yourself as a winner when you're not really showing signs of winning yet,
Yeah, that is true, man. And that touches on the subject of mindset, right? How important is mindset to you?
Yeah, I mean, today it's everything. I mean, it's the only reason I feel like I can do any of the stuff that I have planned over the next years. Anything I've thought about and goals, it's all based on my mindset and that me personally can get there and whether the opportunity is there or not, I'd make it happen. And again, I had like a fragile version of that mindset years ago. And it's just strengthened over the years. The more wins you get, it piles up and you get more confidence in your ability to go get more wins.
I like it, man. So how many deals you doing now with the company you're with?
So I've done over 100 deals since that first day.
Nice.
And about 50-50 MLS and wholesale.
And correct me if I'm wrong, man, you drive a Tesla, don't you?
I do.
Taylor, man, we got to talk, bro. We got to talk, man, because I've always wanted to get behind the seat of a Tesla, bro, and try out that autopilot.
Let me tell you, I use the autopilot almost every day. Back before quarantine, I use autopilot almost every day. And the car is super fast. I go racing,
I'm jealous, man.
it's super fast.
You might inspire me to go out and buy one, bro.
You're not the first person who's told me that.
I like the idea of never paying for gasoline again, bro. Just, I don't know.
Yeah, man. It's real. It's real.
Right? You got to drive a lot in real estate. So.
Hey, just let me know when you get yours so you can use my referral fee.
I like it. Look at you, man. Always closing. I like it, man. Bro, people are going to see the Tesla, right? Which is not a cheap car. People are going to see the results. They're going to see the deals. They're going to see what you're doing now. But man, oh man, I'm sure there were some challenges along the way, right? Let's talk about that. What would you say is the biggest challenge you faced since you've been in the game?
So personally, a lot of it is, I caught myself many times wanting to move the needle faster, and it was moving fast enough for sure. But there's times where, I wanted to skip. Okay, well, this is cool. Let's skip the chapter. Let's skip a few chapters. And I don't even know what that relates to, but like if you're in school, it's like, or you're reading a book and you're on chapter 2, but it's like, all right, I want to see what happens at the end. You're trying to skip chapters. And that became like a point of friction for me. I said, okay, well, I know I can do this. All right, when do I get to buy the Lamborghini? Let's just skip to that. Or when do I get the jet and the big house? And
yeah,
so it became really frustrating to learn principles of patience, or strategic patience. As much as I loved what I was doing and it was working out, I did doubt how much longer I could do it, or what I should be doing next. Like I needed to level up again or keep it rolling, which of course I do. But I would say any struggle during these times, this time or in the past, was mostly just internal conflict, based on, okay, I'm making money. I got to go buy cars. I remember I was 22, and it was like after my first full year of good acquisitions, and I went and bought a brand new BMW. I moved to like the expensive part of town, and I was looking for someone to hand me a trophy almost. I said, hey, look, I got the whole thing figured out. Someone gave me a trophy and a Lamborghini and a big house. I'm here. And then it starts to settle in. Okay, this whole thing is about, the ultimate goal here is about your hustle being, it's your hustle. It's nothing to do with the objects that are attached or the prizes and stuff. It's like, what do you might just have opportunities, but that doesn't mean that has to be your place of landing. Then you can really start to go into, all right, what do I want to hustle? What do I want to hustle at? Maybe I want to invent something or build a software company, or but that was just the opportunity, and the finish line technically doesn't even exist.
Yeah, man. A lot of people out there, I see this all the time. We live in a world where everything, social media, people's image online, they're so caught up with, the image that they put out there. A lot of people get into the game, they make a few dollars, and they go out and buy stupid shit. And then they realize really quickly that they didn't have as much money as they thought they did. And they're right back where they started, right? It's not a smart thing to do, y'all. Yeah. It's not a smart thing. I would tell anybody out there, when you first start making money, just stack it, stash it away until you have enough money you feel comfortable to use that money to make more money. My number is 100 grand cash. I don't know. What do you think? How much should somebody have stacked up before they start investing their own money?
100's a good number. I mean, that's a good number for sure. I mean, because how many people have $100,000 in cash? Just statistically speaking, not a lot. Not a lot at all.
I don't know, but
I mean,
I feel like you see a lot of people that they're like, hey, I have $5,000. What should I invest it in? What stock should I buy? What crypto should I buy? what you should do with that $5,000 is you should invest in yourself. Spend that money on a seminar, hire a coach, right? Buy some books.
Yeah.
Because $5,000,
Yeah, I'm happy to hear you say that.
ain't gonna make you $1 million. You know, the $5,000. You know, you got to stack up a little bit more money. You know, before maybe you'd buying equipment for a business or something. But
I'm happy to hear you say that, because that is spot on. I used to think that way all the time. Like, how can I invest this $1,000 to turn into 20? It's better to spend $1,000 on a course or a coaching. Like, it's better.
Exactly.
Invest in yourself.
I mean, unless you're like a super high IQ individual that somehow figures out the next biggest thing, right? Like back in 08, people were buying Bitcoin for a penny, and then you just split. But I mean, statistically, right, 99.9% of the time, like, that's not going to happen. You're going to need to play the long-term game. And invest in yourself, right? It's important. And I know you've invested in yourself. Quick look at your Instagram. By the way, guys, for the listeners out there, connect with Taylor on Instagram. It's Taylor Alexander Green. But I mean, you definitely are a guy that invests in yourself. That's clear. And I'm sure that's what has helped you get to where you are right now.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
What is some of your favorite books, man?
Let's see. Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. I'd say that's one of my favorites, just because it's a simple concept. Everything you do compounds, right? But the thing that stuck with me in that book is that everything that you do negatively or that you don't do also compounds in a negative direction. So, people think, okay, compound effect moving forwards, but also it works the same way in reverse. When you don't do something for 3 days in a row, that will compound. Ideas like that.
Dude,
I would say, like, even.
Hey, let me touch on that real quick, man. That if I had a gong right now, I'd bang the gong, because that's powerful. Holy smokes, that is powerful. I haven't read that book, I'll be honest with you. I'm going to read it now.
Okay.
Thank you for the suggestion.
All right.
But everything that you do negatively compounds as well, man. Look, there have been times where I'll go on like a week. I'll take a week and I won't do anything. Literally any. I'll just sit on my couch. I'll play video games. I'll watch TV, Netflix, whatever. It's like an off week, right? Feeling down or whatever. And then I realized that it just like spirals, like that one day leads to the next day. That leads to the next day. I tell myself, all right, the next day I'm going to snap out of it. But it's like I already just did it for 3 days. So now it's like, okay, I do another day of this, screwing off. And then when I finally snap out of it and I'm back to my hustle and back to my grind, it's like, well, now I got to catch up on the 4 or 5 days that I just did nothing. And it's just like, it just feels bad, right? It doesn't feel good.
Oh, yeah. Well, it sneaks up on us all. It always sneaks up on us, and no one sees that negative side until it's real. So I try to make sure to do math. I try to do math with myself. Those negotiations, every time I try to pass up on something I know I should be doing, I'm making an internal negotiation. And when I pass up on something I should be doing, the chances that I'm getting a bad end of the deal in that negotiation with myself is very high. I might say, oh, you know what? Actually, I'll just watch TV instead of work on this website because I worked a lot earlier today and this new show is out and it's Friday. So I should watch the TV and not work on the website. Like, we're very good at negotiating with ourselves, and we're always going to give ourselves the worst deal. Most times, like, we're going to give ourselves the bad deal. Yeah. And it always, like, we're good at selling ourselves, man.
So that is applicable to probably everybody except for Gary Vee, right? I don't think
he's good at negotiating with himself.
That man right there. Do you follow Gary Vee?
Yeah, for years. Yeah.
Every time I'm like not on my game, I watch Gary Vee and I'm like, all right, yeah, I'm not doing enough. Like,
Yeah.
beast. I don't think Gary does anything other than work, but
I mean, you
man,
need someone to tell you.
was that?
It's like it was like you need someone to tell you. You know, Gary will tell it to you straight. And it's like we all set these goals, and it all comes down to like, do you really want it? All right, now look at your actions. And it sucks. Like no one likes looking in the mirror at that in that context. But you know, do you really want your goals? All right, now look at your actions. All right, now you're seeing you're making bad deals with yourself that are not going to get you to your goal at the time you pictured you would be there. So then the time passes, you're not at your goal, and you're wondering the math didn't work out. You're not where you wanted to be because you made all these bad deals with yourself along the way.
Guys, listen, write that one down, throw it up on the whiteboard. There's power in that. Don't negotiate a bad deal for yourself. So let me ask you this, Taylor. Let's talk about work-life balance. Do you believe in work-life balance?
Like, I do.
Okay. Explain.
You know, everyone knows there's times where you get very stressed or you feel like you're overworked. Even when you're not overworked and you still feel overworked. You know, I believe in mental health, you know, and, you know, self-help. You know, sometimes you need to go, even if you don't have $50 to go get a massage, take the $50 and go get a massage. Or if you don't like walking in the park by yourself, go walk in the park by yourself. Like whatever you really need to do, you do have to put yourself first. And some people are workaholics. It gets to be that way, or you feel like you have momentum and you don't want to take your foot off the gas pedal because you're scared that you might take a whole week off the gas pedal. You got to build that trust with yourself to know, okay, I am going to take a day off and I'm going to rest and do stuff that I need to do for myself. And you need to have that. If you have that trust with yourself, then you'll be able to actually achieve that balance where you can be a workaholic from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. for 3 days in a row, but you trust yourself to take a whole half day off to go to the movies by yourself and go get a massage and then get right back on it.
So how do you know when there's true balance versus it swaying too far to one side?
So one, you know, you got to keep your goals in mind. You know, I keep 2 whiteboards in my living room here, and one has my goals for like the next couple of months. One has papers on it for the next several years. These are things to keep in mind. Like, one, am I progressing towards my goals at a pace that I'm okay with? And I don't mean like if I say I need to be here by 2024, that's fine and all. But again, like what comes first is your happiness. Do I feel like I'm becoming unhappy by this ambitious goal? If so, then it's okay to lay off the gas a little bit, take care of yourself, maybe switch up pace a little bit or change your goal altogether. I mean, the end game is that you're just trying to make sure you're happiest 24/7. You know, you're never going to be fully happy, but you don't want to be necessarily relaxed. But it's like the Warren Buffett tap.
What?
Well, it's like the Warren Buffett tap dancing to work. So that's kind of like the mindset you want to be in. Like you're excited you're excited for the day. You're headed to work. You know, work is work. You're headed to work, but you feel free about it. You know, like, you know, if I didn't go today at all, I would still be happy. If I didn't go to work today at all, I'd be happy. But, you know, I'm going today, or kind of like just a relaxed mindset about it. But you don't want to be totally relaxed to the point where you're not. It's a balance, I think, between your happiness and I guess how much your goals mean to you.
Does money make you?
That sound about right?
Does money buy happiness?
So, contrary to belief, it does not. But money does buy pleasures. Money buys pleasures.
Okay.
Which can only be temporary and have to be restocked with more money. A better alternative is to explore life as much as possible and find what makes you happy, and then get as much of that as possible. That isn't money. That 99% of the time, that itself is not going to be money. That's going to be something else. Money can help you get there or create a career out of it, but money is definitely not the target.
Mm. Money buys pleasures, but it's only temporary. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with
Yeah.
you, man. I agree. I don't care which one of my idols or mentors says otherwise. I'm firm. Money alone doesn't buy happiness, in my opinion.
Right.
No, there's a lot of things that money can't buy. We all want to make money. I want to make money. You want to make money. The listeners
Yeah.
want to make money. You can't buy certain things, right? You can't buy health. You can't buy love. You can't.
Can't buy fulfillment.
Can't buy
Personal fulfillment.
Exactly. It's like being the richest man or woman in the world but having no friends or family. Well, are those pleasures like really pleasurable? Maybe.
And some people would argue that it's still worth it in that
It's
context.
subjective. It is. It's very subjective. It is.
Yeah.
To me personally, I could not be happy experiencing certain things like all by myself. Like, I don't know. I just the type of person I am. I like sharing experiences with people. But I mean, it's all subjective, right?
Yeah.
Good stuff, man. And I know on IG, man, you told me that you've done some traveling.
Yeah. So that kind of ties into it where, I had this suspicion that life has a lot more to offer than what I had presumed that it did. So I said during that time, I was just buying flashy stuff, and I thought that was what was making me happy. And I realized that stuff wasn't really doing anything. It wasn't doing really anything for me. Going on fancy dates, flashy car, stuff like that. It wasn't really doing anything. It was fun. It was lots of fun, and it was pleasure, like I said, but it wasn't really adding anything to my like life experience. So yeah, I took off. I didn't tell anyone. I just took off one day. They were calling me at work, asking where I was at. I was like, yeah, I'm on a plane. I was like, country.
No way.
And yeah. And I don't recommend anyone does that, but I had a very specific or unique relationship with my employer. We were just like more friends than my boss. So it was very understood. And, I went out traveling, and my goal was to circle the entire world and see what's out there that I'm not seeing, because I felt like I was living in a box, and I was filling the box with money and shiny things. And I said, okay, let me just ditch the box altogether. I don't need the money and shiny things. Let me see what's out here. And so I went to go see, world wonders and a lot of great history and people and some amazing sights. And I think that trip alone, just the people I met and how they were towards me and how I felt towards them, and I think that really opened my eyes to, okay, there's a lot out here as far as a life experience, and that to me had so much value. I said, okay, so me having a rich life experience, that's worth how many millions of dollars is that worth? And I said, I can't even count how many millions of dollars that's worth. And so I was thinking, okay, so what value does money itself really have if that's the case? And I was saying, well, it really only has the power to book me a plane ticket to get me here, or, even if it's not traveling,
I mean,
even if it's like anything else.
It's a big part of it, right? Because I'm
sure
when you go to the World Wonders, they're like, you got to buy a ticket. you gotta pay to get in.
Right. And I was thinking about that. I was like, all right, so money is just like a tool to access the real experience of life almost. So you need money. It's like nothing that's really going to fulfill you. It's hard to find something that's totally free that you can just get around. But the traveling for me was like, I made sure to go to places that were very wealthy and then also places that were very poor. And so I could like just contrast and mainly see how I feel about these things. And what stuck out just so largely is that the people who were in these, places that didn't have anything, they had like a kind of richness inside that I think is rare. And I'm in, like, I said, a very nice part of town in Atlanta, and the kind of richness that these people had in their soul, the happiness, their confidence, it was really shocking. And so I was thinking, okay, so these people don't have a lot of money. Money is not what made these people happy. Clear as day. All these people are so happy and they don't have any money. So clearly there's a disconnect from what we think money does here. And I knew that going on the trip, I knew that that's the conclusion that I would find, but seeing it first person really stuck it to me, because then me personally, I said, okay, so I don't need to stress about money necessarily. When I'm starting a business or working on a deal or anything like that, I don't even need to stress about money, because the money is not what's going to make me happy anyways. The money is a non-factor almost. It'll let me focus more on what the actual goal is and why I'm doing it, rather than thinking about how much money I'm going to make from it or how much that it costs. So when I'm approaching things, if there's something that I have a goal and I know my happiness is aligned with it, I'll cut the check, even if it's a big one. And I would be scared to do that. I'll cut the check. It's just money. It's replaceable. The money doesn't mean anything to me in that context. It's not going to cause unhappiness, because I'm just thinking about what's aligning with my goal. And then same with the returns. If I'm doing something, I'm not thinking about I'm going to make this much money from this. I'm just thinking about this is aligned with my goals. Something I have to do. It's just something I have to do. The money is not the star of the show.
Yeah, I mean, money comes and goes, right? It comes
right.
and it goes. I mean, flying, for example, right? I mean, I'm sure we've all sat in economy before, but you upgrade to first class. I mean, first class is a lot better, right? You got to pay for it. It's a lot better. So you need that money to get you there. So I agree, man. Money is a tool, and
it's like the abundance mindset, which you hear so much. It falls with that.
So Taylor, I want to switch gears here, man. Great stuff so far, and listeners, thank you so much for being here and sticking with us. Going here towards the end of the show. We're going to be wrapping up soon, but I do have a few more questions for you, because somebody out there right now is listening to this podcast. They're getting inspired, and that person's at a crossroad right now, right? They're like, I want to go big. I want to make money. Maybe that person's working at, a Sam's Club or Walmart or whatever. They're in sales, and they need that one thing, that one bit of advice, that one catalyst to get them off their butt and get them into gear. So what would you tell somebody, your best advice to get started? All
right. So this is one, I think just a few days ago, it really started hitting me big time, but I like this one. So you get an opportunity to learn something every time you do something. You get an opportunity to learn from the result. So I would say out of anything is massive action. No matter what it is, you have to go into action. And no matter win, lose, or draw, you're going to learn. I did this and the result was that. And, they talk about taking losses. That shouldn't even be the concern in that stage. It should just be, I need to learn as much as possible based on the results of what I'm doing. It doesn't matter what you do, honestly. You could get a job at a grocery store and say, I wonder what happens if I bag 1,000 groceries today. You just got to do action at something and then see what happens. Maybe your manager comes up to you and says, wow, did you really bag 1,000 bags of groceries today? That's pretty cool. So tiny lesson, you learned I performed highly at bagging these groceries, and the person who is my boss and signs our checks came up and acknowledged me. That's an interesting piece of data. Just small things all around, no matter what it is, you have to take action. And that's the only way you can learn. You get the opportunity to learn from taking action, whether you win or lose. There's a lesson, and just not to miss the opportunity to learn a lesson. There's no point in taking a bunch of action if you don't if you don't take the time to be aware of what the result was and the learning value. There's learning value in every decision, and if we miss the value, you stay in the same place. That's how you end up spinning your wheels. You got to take the learning value. It might look like it takes forever, but no one said it was going to be easy to achieve your dreams and your goals. You know, it's going to potentially take a whole lot of effort and a whole lot of wins and losses. But I mean, I've been doing wins and losses, reading self-help books, Grant Cardone and all that for 7 years. And I just got my Tesla last year. So, you know, it takes a while. You got to stick to it. You know, I'm going to keep doing it and we'll see where I'm at in another 7 years.
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about the finish line, right? What's next for you? What's in store for you? You know, where do you see yourself in the future? Let's talk about that.
So I started thinking about real estate for me is like you do a deal and then poof, it's gone. It closed, it's gone. You get money in return. And then, you know, I already explained how I thought about my relationship with money. Yeah. So I was thinking I need to be building something. I either need to be doing this and using the money to build something that I can scale and turn into an empire, rather than just do a deal, get some money, spend the money, and just rinse and repeat. So I'm learning technical skills right now. I'm trying to become a software developer. I'm learning from scratch. I'm just using my hustle powers. You know, I have the confidence that I'm a hustling person. You know, you can learn anything on the internet if you have some hours on your hand. It's just like going to the gym. People who go to the gym every day, or people who, you know, take out time to read every day. You just got to take the time out, work on it every day. And I eventually want to start a software company. I have always been very interested in just the ability to use software to change lives, use software to make people's lives easier, or make hard tasks into simple tasks using software, especially business processes and automation, you know, fourth industrial revolution type stuff. So that's kind of where I'm pointed, as well as space. Honestly, Elon Musk has inspired me. I think the new space race and the colonization plans of Mars and the moon is going to start a whole new commercial industry, space tourism, Virgin Galactic, Richard Branson, Jeff Bezos, and Blue Moon. All these companies are spending billions of dollars in the space arena. And I think if I start now, in 7 years, I might be positioned to launch a really cool space company, you know, and I think that would be the coolest thing. If you told that to me when I was 13 years old, I would say that's the coolest thing in the world.
Dude, we're going to speak that into existence. 7 years from now, we're going to come back to this podcast.
Hey, man. This is started somewhere podcast. Hey. So here we are.
No, dude. Hey, man. So software, bro. I'm all about software. I've actually been involved in the software space for like 3 or 4 years now. I mean, that's like what I do. Like 50% of my time is spent in developing softwares, like, you know, SaaS companies to help people in business do things more efficiently. So let's definitely talk offline and stay connected in that space, because, you know, maybe we could bounce some ideas around. Maybe you have some ideas that I could make billions of dollars off of. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, dude, software, man, a lot of money to be made in the tech space, man. It's insane.
Yeah.
Like the kid that started Oculus, right? The kid was like, he's like 18 years old or something. I don't know. He's like spent all of his like high school years like attending like tech camps and learning how to build code software and do all types of different stuff. Created Oculus himself and sold it to Facebook for like hundreds of millions of dollars. Like, it's insane. In his flip-flops and his Hawaiian.
I mean, does that not sound fun to you?
It's the best. It's the best. I'm like, that kid's my hero. That kid's like,
oh yeah.
I can only imagine high school, like all his high school peers are all at parties and stuff, and he's just in his garage just building this thing, and he cashes out for like $500 million, and it's like, yeah,
that's what I'm talking about.
Check me out now. Taylor, man, if you were to start all over tomorrow, right? Snap the finger, it's all gone. Everything's gone. Everything you work for is gone, and you're back 5 years ago, working back at Sam's Club, what would you do differently knowing what you know now?
Oh man, I used to worry so much about how other people saw my progress, and that slowed me down so much. I would do exactly what I did the first time, but I would all of the wasted time that I spent and all the money that I spent trying to think about how other people were perceiving me and their opinions weighing against my goal. Obviously, a lot of entrepreneurs, these are very heartfelt goals that they have, and they're facing a lot of adversity, even just from people's opinions when they put out these big goals and they say them out loud. I totally get that, and I went through it. But I would say all those people, you don't need to worry about it at all, because you will make progress and you will proceed to your goal. And as you start getting there, people aren't going to say anything to you anymore. Because you'll see they're basically in the same place that they were. Time will pass, and you just got to make progress. That's all that matters.
Dude, I love it, man. Well, Taylor, man, thank you so much for being here on the show. Really, really enjoyed it. For the listeners out there that want to connect with you, what's the best place for them to do so?
So Instagram is my 3 names, Taylor Alexander Green. And I post on there, just a little bit, maybe a little more in the future, who knows? But yeah, I'd love to connect with you guys there.
All right, awesome. Sounds good. Yeah, and we'll link that in the show notes. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. Taylor, again, man, thank you so much for dropping value. And I look forward to seeing what you're going to be doing in the coming future.
Thanks, man. Start it somewhere.
Hey, that's what it's all about. Take care, man.